I had a match earlier, and Tommy just happened to be watching. And it just so happened the guy, one of the people in the tag team main event that he was supposed to be facing, didn't show up. And he's like, "Hey, kid," he's like, "you're in really good shape." I'm like, "Thanks, man." He's like, "Are you staying the whole show?" I'm like, "I think so." Comes back 10 minutes later, he goes, "You want to wrestle me tonight?" I'm like,
What's up, Bengal fans? It's your host, Joey Karni, and I want to thank you for clicking on this video. It was an amazing experience, and I can't wait for you to watch the full episode and enjoy it just as much as I did filming it. Now, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe down below to stay up to date with all the Angles activity right here on YouTube. Now enjoy the show. Let's go, let's go! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Angle Podcast. Your host, Joey Karni here. And a face here that you may not know, and I think that's the most exciting thing about this interview. He's a former Warriors of Wrestling Tag Team Champion, FTW Heavyweight Champion, amongst other titles. He's formerly known as Jack Gallo. Today, he's here in his truest form. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe Ocasio. How are you, sir?
Joey, I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on this show. I'm really honored to be here, and I can't wait to talk with you.
Awesome, man. I've been looking forward to this since we started talking about it a few weeks ago. And there's so many things that we can talk about. But to start things off, how has COVID life been for you? Being an independent wrestler, I know it's a little different than, wrestlers who are in WWE, things like that. So how has it been for you?
Yeah, man, wrestling wise, it's been tough. The reality is of it is, everything got shut down. And I live in New York. So, Joey, you live in New York. Am I crazy?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm close enough.
Yeah, Jersey. Okay. So, but either way, around here, things were very strict. And to this day, there's still really no live, shows going on. So it was pretty tough because, regulations were what they were. You really couldn't travel out of state to begin with. So you kind of just had to go on pause. And it's been quite a bit of a delay. Maybe longer than some other states, as you've seen. I know Atlantic City has some shows going on and stuff. So it really kind of forced, at least for me, it forced me to put my mind into other avenues. And it gave me some time to reflect. And I want to say that's the biggest thing, because when you have that time and you're looking for your break. Now I have a time to press on the brake pedal and kind of look back at what I've done over the past year or 2 years. And it gives you, some time to figure some things out.
Awesome. And for fans who are watching and listening right now, who may not know you or are not familiar with you, what are some of the big things that you've done in your career that maybe they can reference to?
So I've wrestled in Citi Field. That was the first match that's ever been in Citi Field, which was pretty cool. I've wrestled at the Barclays Center for Yams Day, which was pretty cool. I did have a match with Evolve back in 2016, so I did make it there before my injury. I've wrestled for Full Impact Pro. I've worked with trying to think of some other names that might pop up into people's heads. But yeah, those are some main reference points. The things that I've done, I've wrestled for Warriors of Wrestling for many years. I was a heavyweight champion there many years ago, tag team champion. I've been bounced around the local scene quite a bit. I worked for FBW. So I'm one of those guys, you might have seen my name. You might even seen me in a place that I've kind of heard that name, but it's been a roller coaster. I'm one of the people out there. It's just reality, man. It isn't always you get into the business, you find your way to a major contract, and boom, you're on TV. Man, I've had that roller coaster ride. I've had some ups, and it looks like I'm about to hit that, and then you go back down, and that's kind of how life is.
Of course. And your whole career, really, you've been Jack Gallo.
Yes.
Who do you think Jack Gallo is without being about yourself? Who is the character Jack Gallo?
The character Jack Gallo was basically the opposite of who I really thought I was, at least personality-wise. So, when I was growing up, I was overweight growing up. A lot of people don't really know that or would think that from when they see me. And when I was growing up, I was bullied. And, I remember growing up, I would always tell myself, man, like one day I'm going to be able to stand up for myself. And I kind of think I created that Jack Gallo character off of those situations. Wow. What the bullies would do, that's who Jack Gallo was. right? Because when I first started, I had this idea of a character, the protector of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And it was the guy who was going to come in, and this is the mid 2000s, that I blossomed this idea of. It was very entertainment heavy. It's PG era, right? So it went from attitude to super PG, kind of back to that 80s feel. And I'm like, what about an old school like shoot wrestler who's literally out to destroy the characters, the people who embarrass professional wrestling? I was this almost lunatic going after sports entertainers because I thought that was disrespectful. And I was there for the forefathers, the Frank Gotchas. I would say these wild names. But this all kind of developed over time, thinking about, oh man, like this is what I love, this is what I could do. And it blossomed into that. And it was pretty cool when I first did it.
And did did you really like resonate with the Jack Gallo character? Because I know that you're saying there's so many differences, and towards the end of the interview, I want to talk about a specific promo that
Right.
you've done. And you said a lot that the character really it was different, like what you just said, it was different from who you were. So did you really resonate with that character when it was created?
I did. So I was able to completely invest in that. So, my thing about pro wrestling was I love all pro wrestling and I love sports entertainment. I do have a passion for the purity of pro wrestling. I love World of Sport. I love watching, New Japan. I've always been a fan of the art of just the scientific pro wrestling. I grew up an amateur wrestler. But I wanted to be able to use that in a unique and creative way. And I just wanted to be a heel. I'm like, I want to be a dick. Well, how can I do that? So I kind of just took elements of my real life that I really enjoyed and made it into something that I hoped would be interesting. Because when I would watch wrestling growing up, all the scientific wrestlers, I felt like they were just scientific wrestlers that had no personality. And I'm like, how can I take a personality and inject it into a scientific wrestler and make it a little bit more digestible and something that like a mainstream audience could really, stick their teeth into. And that's what I tried to model it after.
Got it. And now that you've made this transformation, sort of say, into yourself, into Joe Ocasio, who is Joe Ocasio?
Okay, so who is Joe Ocasio? Joe Ocasio is the guy who was never supposed to be. That's the truth. Like I said when I was referencing before, I grew up, morbidly obese. I was very overweight, to a point. And listen, it's not a body image thing. I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
I wasn't comfortable with what I was becoming, and I saw it, and I faced the adversity of it. I would grow up aspiring to be people like Ken Shamrock, for example. When I was growing up, physique-wise, when I first saw Ken Shamrock, he was one of the first pro wrestlers. I'm like, well, that guy scares the hell out of me. If I could be like him, I could probably beat up my bullies. The Undertaker was awe-inspiring to me, and so was Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold. My first memory of wrestling was WrestleMania 14. And basically I would say who I truly am, judging and kind of basing myself back from when I was a kid, is a person who had to grow to overcome adversity. And it's been an internal struggle with me, with my own self-worth. I struggled for many years, even as I grew and even as I got in better shape and I grew as a human being. I still struggle with being this person who was bullied and not really sure if he was worth it. So that's the truth about who I am as a person. To this day, I still fight that, man. And I've really grown to find myself, and I'm very secure with who I am now. But it was this uphill battle. And to be honest with you, I feel like myself, Joe Ocasio, has been hiding a lot. I had some injuries, which I know we're going to get into, but I hit a lot and I didn't speak. And I kind of lurked in the shadows because I was afraid if I stepped out, I didn't belong and I was going to be pushed back down. And it's a seesaw battle, but I want to say I finally won it.
That's great to hear, and you can hear the way that you're talking about it. It's authentic, and there's passion behind it, and everything that goes into really being successful in this business. You're living it now. So a lot of superstars, in general, they have this thing where it's almost they live their character. They almost can't get away from it. Do you see any similarities between Jack Gallo and Joe Ocasio?
Yeah. So the get angry part of Jack Gallo, that was a thing I developed when I was tagging with my partner Jason Carrion. Gallo gets angry, and I do know I am known to have a little bit of a temper when it's called for me to have a temper, and it's really just that volume turned up to 1,000 when I was Jack Gallo. Yeah. And there's a lot of similarities between who Jack Gallo and who Joe Ocasio really are. The thing about the Jack Gallo character was that I want to put it this way. There's nothing wrong with having a stage name. There's nothing wrong with being this person. Yeah. I felt like what I did was this. I picked a name, just any name with no significance, with no history, just to not be called Joe Ocasio, because I was worried Joe Ocasio wasn't good enough. So if I myself as somebody else, I could succeed because I'm not me. I'm this guy. But the truth is this, there's a certain vulnerability to just being yourself and just being out there and exposing your weaknesses as well as your strengths. I felt like Jack Gallo was me trying to accentuate all of my strengths, but not being honest. Because the truth is everybody has flaws. Everybody has weaknesses. I'd rather own that. I'd rather tell you about the things I've been through. And that's why I'm going to be successful, because I've overcame these things, not because I'm this uber fighting machine that can kill everybody. Yeah. Get where I'm coming from? So I think that's the main difference, is just the honesty behind it. I'm really just me. It's always been me. And it took a lot of self-reflecting and being honest about where my career was. And well, what's going wrong? Why is it that, I'll get admiration, respect from my peers. I'll be told by people that have made it, hey man, I don't see flaws in this area, but what is it? Why am I not succeeding? And to a certain extent, there's things you can't control or things you can control. Yeah. And I started accepting, man, there's things I can control I'm not doing. And you know what? I should probably be honest with myself, and I should be honest with everybody else that follows me about exactly what those things are.
Of course. And what you're speaking about right now, it really resonates honestly with me, especially, and it's really, really relatable, I think, to an audience, because the biggest thing with wrestling, you need to connect to your audience. Is the biggest thing that, wrestlers have. It actually comes down to being the biggest issue why, they succeed or they don't succeed. They don't connect with the audience. What you're talking about right now, I think is relatable to everybody. When I first started this show, I had the idea of, okay, this is what this podcast is going to be. And then, it kind of was like, I wasn't being authentic to myself. I wasn't being myself. And it wasn't working. And finally, when I said, okay, I'm going to do what I know how to do and the way I think it should be done, that's when things started, working for me. So I completely understand what you're talking about with, creating a character that's not you, because you were trying to get away from that. So, I applaud that now that you're being honest with yourself. You've always been you, but it was just waiting, to be you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I had to come full circle. I had to put, like I said, man, I had to accept that if I'm going to be successful in any department, I need to believe in me. And again, I came up with a name to prevent myself from being me, to somewhat hide while I'm in the public limelight. And I feel like because I did it for those reasons, I was doing myself a disservice.
And since for everybody watching, Jack Gallo is no longer your name. It's no longer your character. That's, dead and buried. What are the highlights of Jack Gallo? Man,
I've had some great, that was the hardest thing, was for all that's been said, I've had wonderful experiences as Jack Gallo. I wrestled Jay Lethal as Jack Gallo as a very young, I was 20 years old. Wow. And I got the opportunity to wrestle for Ace Pro Wrestling. Shout out to Mike Morgan. Always believed in me. And I got to wrestle him in one of my first true main event matches, 20-minute match with him. And I got nothing but positive feedback from Jay. And if he listens to this, I hope he does, if he reaches any forum, and I appreciate so much of the time he would take to just sit down with me, and he did things he didn't have to do when I was that young, coming in just to work with me when I was at that stage. And I owe him a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Wrestling at Barclays Center was awesome, man. It was Yams Day, which is a big rap event.
Yeah.
So, when we went out there, I remember I was a group of guys that I knew really well that worked with FTW. Some of them I helped train, Gabriel Sky being one of them. And I could probably name a bunch of people. You're good. But the whole story, the long story short is I remember going like, hey, man, this is cool, but they're not really here for wrestling. They're here because they're here because they're rap fans. So we might go out there and do all this stuff. It's not going to create a buzz, and it's not going to get any reaction. But I told Gabe, I'm like, listen, let's be the first spot. And if they react, we know we got them. And there's like 10,000 people there. And I went out there, we did the spot, and then boom, they reacted. And I'm like, wow, we have them. And just that was a cool moment for me to know that we're in a place that's not really, could be not receptive at all. And to get that kind of reaction, to feel that energy from that many people was really, it was a really cool moment. That was 2019. That was a really cool moment for me. I got to wrestle, I wrestled Tommy Dreamer. I wrestled all the 4 ECW originals. This was another big one in 2016. It was Tommy Dreamer, I want to say Sabu, Raven, and Sandman. And it was a last minute thing. It was 2016, early 2016. I was in PA wrestling for Big Time Wrestling. I had a match earlier, and Tommy just happened to be watching. And it just so happened the guy, one of the people in the tag team main event that he was supposed to be facing, didn't show up. And he's like, hey, kid, he's like, you're in really good shape. I'm like, thanks, man. He's like, are you staying the whole show? I'm like, I think so. Comes back 10 minutes later, goes, you want to wrestle me tonight? I'm like, yeah, no, I'm heading out of here, man. Yeah, right? And then he's like, oh, yeah, it's an 8-man tag. And it was just because it was so damn unexpected. And, I remember just being in the ring, watching them all come out one by one. And I remember thinking to myself, like, man, if I can go back to my 10-year-old self and be like, hey, dude, you're going to be in a main event match out of nowhere with 4 guys that you looked up to watching growing up, I would have never believed it. And it was definitely a moment of reality for me that, man, I'm actually doing this. This isn't just some pipe dream anymore. I'm living what I always wanted to do. Those are pretty big ones off the top of my head.
And I mean, those are huge ones. not people that can say they.
I've done.
Guys, that's amazing.
I've been very blessed.
Yeah. So a big, I guess you can say, asterisk next to your name is your injuries.
Yeah.
You sustained over the years. Could you kind of go into detail of the injuries you've had, when they took place, and kind of what they did, to your career?
Yeah, so this is where things get, I get a little emotional sometimes. This is where things made a turn. So I think, I started wrestling really in I want to say 2010. Just training, I trained with NYWC. I had a pretty steady career. Like I said, man, I was very blessed early on I got in the ring with Jay Lethal, Bobby Fish, Dan Moff. I had an opportunity to work with some really, really knowledgeable people that a very young man was able to, be a sponge off of. Matt Stryker. So all these people I worked with, he's been very instrumental into teaching me so many things over the years. So I had built quite a resume for myself up until about 2015. That's when things were going, pretty steadily well. That's when I started working with WWN pretty regularly. I was going to Florida for Full Impact Pro regularly. And then it was early 2016, March 2016. I was doing everything I possibly could to try to get onto Evolve. There was a working relationship with FEW at the time. I had done a lot of FIP shows, and I was just kind of clinging on, waiting for my moment. I was getting in better physical shape. I was already known to be in good shape, but in my mind, I'm like, well, there's never good enough. So I was just taking every step I could. And then I was actually, speaking of Speedball Mike Bailey, who's just able to wrestle in the United States again, shout out to him. It was the show that he was announced he wasn't going to be able in the United States. It was something to do with him having to stay in Canada. Wow. I forgot what the situation happened with him, but he had like a 5-year deal. He couldn't be here. And it was that show. And there was a replacement lined up, and then the replacement couldn't do it. So I was the replacement for the replacement because I just happened to be there. Yeah. And man. And I wrestled all ego Ethan Page, and I had 4 minutes. And they're like, oh, well, you got 4 minutes to do something. And I remember my whole career, people would tell me, listen, these opportunities are going to come out of nowhere, and you're not going to have a lot of time to make an impression. And I was very blessed because Ethan was like, hey, man, I'll give you something. Don't worry. I'm not going to just crush you out there. So he gave me one thing I could do. There was a German and a knee. And I remember I go out, and the first thing I do, I come out, I make my entrance, I turn, and I see William Regal just staring at me.
Wow.
So there's just the nerves start to hit. I'm like, damn, I really better not mess up. And out came Ethan Page. And I remember just telling myself, as long as I do what I know I do well, I'll be okay. And, so we started the match. Everything's going good. I hit the German, hit the knee. I heard a pop. And I'm like, that's a good sign. And then we went to the finish, and everything went really smoothly. And all I got on the way back was positive feedback. William Regal pulled me to the side, spoke to me, told me things I could work on, but nothing but positive. Gabe said, hey, I didn't watch it. I heard it was great. And that's a good sign. I remember there were fan reports the next day because, of course, I'm seeing if anyone said I was the shits. And, I heard, okay, I saw this guy, Jack Gallo, don't know much about him. He looks like he belongs. That was a consensus.
Wow.
I remember I had emailed WWE about any kind of work, and they emailed me back 2 days after that. This all happened within a week. And this is the same week as the Tommy Dreamer experience I was telling you about before. So this all within one long week that things started to just kind of align and go in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay. So 3 days later, so this is a Saturday that Evolve show happened. I thought, man, things were looking like I was going to start really getting there.
Yeah.
I go to training. I went to a Queens training school, which I don't normally do, but I was asked to do it, of course. And we're going over clotheslines, basic training. And I'm doing clotheslines, and I line one kid up. I'm like, all right, duck. And I stepped, and I heard like that, like a gunshot. And I felt something in my foot. I'm like in the back of my foot. I thought one of the wooden boards came up and hit me in the back of my foot. I'm like, hey guys, what just hit me? And they stared at me like I had 5 heads. And I was kind of like annoyed. I'm like, guys, something just hit me in the foot. And I went to step, and all of a sudden I couldn't walk. And I went to step again. I couldn't walk. I roll out of the ring. I tell myself it's fine. My foot's like a balloon.
Yeah.
Sure enough, I go to the doctor the next day, and I tore my Achilles tendon in half.
Wow.
Still walked on it because I didn't want to believe that it was torn, but it was fully ruptured, which wasn't actually the most devastating of the two. But man, that was a tough pill to swallow because that's usually a year
long recovery.
Yeah, it's a long recovery, and it's not a guarantee.
Exactly.
Not everyone comes back from that one, and not everyone is the same. Not even close. Some people. I'm lucky. I was 24 when this happened too, by the way.
Wow.
So I'm kind of blessed. I think it happened early because the rehab wasn't as terrible as it could have been. I had a great PT, and so this injury leads into the next one, the bicep tear, which just gets better, right? So all this momentum builds up. Things are going great. Achilles rupture. I'm upset, but I'm like, hey, listen, I talked to a PT that said you can do it in 6 months. So I'm like, I'm gonna put my mind to 6 months. And the PT, his name is Jeffrey Yellen, is an amazing PT if you're in New York. He's a friend of mine, and he took his time. He spent extra hours of his time with me. I rehabbed every day. And I remember within 6 months of that tear, and it was a brutal recovery. Listen, it was not all sunshine and rainbows. Like, it was painful. It was hard mentally at first. I was very angry. I was having outbursts. I was questioning my whole life almost. Like, man, I put no effort into anything else. I didn't have a steady job, really. I was living with my parents basically off of their dime besides what I was making doing my odd jobs. Yeah. And I'm like, man, and this happened. So I'm like, I have to get back. And I worked to get back, and I worked to get back, and I worked to get back. And like I said, man, it wasn't easy, but 6 months, I'm like, okay, I got there. And I felt like my momentum was still, there was enough talk about me and that I felt confident.
Yeah.
So as I was recovering, I started deadlifting again. And I did almost all of the deadlifting with Jeff when he was with me. And I was going up to heavyweight again. I was up to 400 pounds, and it wasn't that bad. I'm like, man, everything is getting better. I'm feeling good. Yeah. And it's one day that I was by myself at the gym. I put the 4 plates on. I did the deadlift. I'm like, I'm feeling good today. I'm going to put an extra 25 on each side. So I put up 450. I do 1 rep. I do 2. I wanted to get 3. And as I'm coming up for the 3rd, 6 months into my Achilles recovery, my bicep tore from the elbow. That one was the one that was mentally just, I felt like I got knocked out again.
Yeah.
Another 5 to 6 month recovery. So now I am out of here, at least. at least. And I had done so much work. So when I tore my Achilles, I'm like, whatever, I'm going to build my upper body huge. I just went to the gym every day on my crutches, and I just worked out anything I could that was up here. And now, so I had this huge upper body frame. I knew I was going to get my legs back. It was already in the process. I tore my bicep. All my muscle on the top went away now. So not only did I I built all of it to lose that all again while I have to rebuild my lower half.
Wow.
So it was just like, I mean,
full reconstruction.
Yeah, full reconstruction. I'm lucky I had gotten into the fitness industry a little bit before that, which has been my saving grace in my life.
Yeah.
But that bicep injury, because it was so soon after this, and this isn't an excuse, but it was defeating. By the time I had finally came back in 2017 into the ring, momentum was gone. And it's, partially I stepped away from pro wrestling. I didn't go to the shows. I couldn't physically, I felt like I couldn't be there. I was so distraught just being there physically watch. I wanted to just stay home and rehab for both. But, hey, your face isn't around. I get how this works.
Yeah.
So some opportunities weren't there no more. Quite frankly, almost all of them weren't there anymore. And it was kind of like starting from scratch. That's what at least it felt like. And I came back in great shape. And I had some good matches, but I'll be honest, like a lot of it was me. I was kind of like, man, this kind of sucks. Like I had watched a lot of good friends start to make it up, and when it comes to all the guys that I broke in with that have found success, I'm so happy, man. I mean that genuinely. Like they deserve it. These guys all worked super hard. I watched it. But it was still hard for me to watch, having to sit. And now it's almost like I'm working with a lot of guys I don't know, which is fine, but you get where I'm coming from. It's like all my, my peers, my boys that like were supposed to be up there together and there was a natural trajectory.
Yep.
It's kind of gone. And since my confidence had faded, I started to not perform as well. Happens, man. You don't feel your best. You don't feel like you're as good as you really should be. You start to perform like that in the ring. You make little mistakes you wouldn't. And it started like a snowball effect where, I had one bad night. I'll never forget it. I'm struggling to try to get back onto WWN shows.
Yeah.
And I remember I was offered a show. It was like, hey, man, I can get you on tomorrow. It was like a Saturday night. I did an FTW show. I don't remember what show it is, to be honest. But I remember the next day I ran into Sally. I was like, I got a show tomorrow. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I'll be there. I got off of work. I called in the only favor I had. And I remember I cut my eye open that night too. I had to get stitches Saturday night. I got off of work. I drove in Sunday. I thought it was in Brooklyn, and it winds up it was in Queens. Because it was last minute. So I thought it was in the same building I was in, right? So I wind up getting there late. They think it's just because I could imagine why they think this kid's showing up late.
Yeah.
But in truth, it was just a mistake. And then I performed poorly on that show because everything was just, and I remember I left, it was 2018. I left that show and I told myself, I'm like, you know what, man, like, my girlfriend was with me in the car and I looked at her and I'm like, this beautiful girl. I'm like, things are going good in the fitness industry. I'm like, if there is a creator, maybe this is their way of telling me like,
yeah,
maybe I've done enough. I've done some cool things and maybe it's time to walk away. Which is hard to say now because, I was literally just kind of throwing away what I loved, but this does happen to a lot of guys.
It does.
It does. And it wasn't until, and listen, did I still pop in here and there and do a show here or there? Yeah, but I wasn't doing it with the same intention. It was doing it just to do it, to have fun, maybe see the one guy, you get where I'm coming from. It's not the same as pursuing an active career. That wasn't until 2019. And then I came back because Jason Carrion, my old tag partner, he had taken time away. He had called me, wanted to wrestle again. And he, not only that, he wanted to team again. And I was so low on myself. I'm like, you sure you want me to be associated with you? You just came off of a tour in England. He's like, what the hell are you talking about, man? He's like, yeah, I want you to be with me. I'm like, I think I'm going to bring you down. And he heard that. Yeah, that's how low I thought of myself. I'm like, I'm nobody, man. And he's like, no, absolutely not. And he said, let's just reach out. We'll try to get on some shows and see how it goes. I wanted to be with my friend. I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I can hang out with Jay. All right, let's go.
Yeah.
And as it happens, sucks you back in. Yep. All of a sudden I'm working a full schedule again and I'm starting to slowly kind of find my rhythm. And yeah, man. And then, the 2019 to 2020, we were finding our groove as a team again, in shape, feeling good. I felt like we were doing really well right until the rest of the world, March 2020, and now puts a kibosh on life. And that kind of leads me to where I am now. It was world shut down, and now it's time to figure out, hey, what do I really want to do? And if I'm going to do it, what's the right way to do it? What gives me, the clarity I have now, Joey, that I didn't have then is, I'm 29 years old now, and I've experienced life in a lot of different ways that I couldn't have at 24.
Yeah.
And now I'm able to grasp, like, okay, this is what this really takes to do this. This is what's important outside of wrestling. This needs, right? I have a full grasp on what's important and what I feel in life. Yeah. And I just decided, man, and I decided it, during the quarantine. I'm like, if I'm going to give wrestling, if I really want to do this, I have to commit and invest 100%. I have to believe everything I say. And I have to show the fans that do follow me and support me who the hell I truly am. Yep. And what I'm about and why they should support me, because, why should they? They don't know that much. I haven't been cutting promos. I haven't, and I think I can talk, and I'm like scared to say that. That's what was happening. I'm like scared to cut promos, even though I've always enjoyed it, and I've always been told everyone likes my, people I respect like my promos. And this was the internal battle that I'm like going through. I'm like, why am I not producing content? Why have I been sitting like waiting for someone to notice me? Why can't I just kick the damn door down and make everybody remember exactly who I am? And that's why that's where the differentiate came between Jack Gallo and who Joe Ocasio really is. I'm the one who breaks down the fucking doors. Sorry if I'm not supposed to curse.
Oh, you're good.
But that's who I am as a person. When it's time, it's you're fat. You'll never be a wrestler. Yeah, well, fuck you. I did it. Oh man, you're never going to be the fitness industry, man. You're always just going to be some random coach in a facility. Well, I own my own business now. And then it finally came to pro wrestling, and it's not ego. It's like, okay, here's the truth. Like I have been slacking. I could have been talking. I could have been showing up to certain places. I could have been reaching out to somebody like you, knocking on your door more often, saying, hey, Joey, do you know me? Could I come onto your show? The truth is, I wasn't. I was just sitting in line, doing what I know is not going to do anything for me. So yeah, this has been, it was a roller coaster. That's, I feel like I said, man, if it makes any sense, it's led me to a platform where even if saying all that I said, I do this and within 2 years, I'm out of the ring, retired, and I never got a major deal, I'll be satisfied in my heart knowing that at least, at the very least, this was without a doubt 100% everything I had left, and I'll call it a career if it doesn't work out from there.
Of course. And now in this position where you're almost like you're rejuvenated, you're reformed, you're starting over in a sense, as yourself, really. Is there an end goal for you? Like, is it like I want to get to WWE or I want to get to AEW, or is there like a specific goal now that you're looking to get to?
What's funny is like I used to always be like, oh, I want to get signed to WWE. That was my goal growing up as a kid. I think, most people, and it was either one of the two, depending on your generation, WWE, WCW, whatever.
Yeah.
For me, I don't think it's a company anymore. For me, it's like, I just want to tell really, really good stories. I love the storytelling aspect of this industry. I want to tell really good stories on a platform that many people can see it. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to leave my stamp on some kind of, catalog or network. I want there to be a trail of my work, hopefully in some kind of major TV, that I can say, hey, I've done that. I worked my way up, and damn it, I got onto TV and I had some kind of deal. That would be an amazing end to the story for me. Where that goes, what I do with that TV time, again, I know that's up to me.
Yeah.
But end game is I just want to get to that point where I can go and show what I can do on that platform. If I can get that opportunity, that's all I really aspire for, is opportunity to show what I can do, where that place is, man, I'll let the universe take me to where that is. That's not my concern. And yeah, and just to be able to do that on that kind of level, and work with the amazing talent that's out there, and just really truly entertain people and remind them of who the hell I am.
It's awesome to hear, man. I remember when I went to a few. I think the last show that I went to, Wars of Wrestling. I think it was, I don't know, a few months ago, maybe even early in the year. And
Yeah.
Sal had asked me, what do you think? Who stood out to you? And I remember saying, like, he asked me about. I think you got it was Team Talent versus Prolific, and I said to him, I said, that one intense. I didn't know your name at the time. I said that one intense guy that just like lost his shit in the match and just stood out to me, man. And he kind of like chuckled, and he knew exactly what I was talking about, and it was you. And to be able to have that impression where I'm not in the wrestling business like all these other people are, but I'm a wrestling fan at heart, and to sit in a crowd and have like specific moments just like pop into my head when someone asks me, that's a big thing. And I think for all these companies who are looking to scout different talent, such as yourself, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for that time when you're creating those moments, and you're creating those things where it doesn't matter if you're in the beginning of the card or you're in the main event, but at the end of the show, when someone asks you what stood out, Joe Ocasio, you know what I mean? Like those are those things that people are looking forward to. Yeah. And you did that when I was there. So really like kudos to you for that.
Joey, that's
what do you think is next for Joe Ocasio?
Man, what's next for me is this. I'm going to be putting content out there. I'm going to speak when I want to speak. I'm going to make my voice heard. If you want to hear it, you don't want to hear it, it's happening. That's my next step. Is I'm just not going to sit around anymore. I don't care where it's for or who it's for. It could just be my personal page. I'm just going to start to speak my mind. My next step besides that, as the world opens, I'm getting myself out there. Yeah. If there's a show that can be done, I'm going to make myself available for it and be there for the fans, and be there for myself. That's the real truth, is be there for myself. Yeah. I'm looking forward to Warriors of Wrestling. Has had an excellent amount of studio taping content that has been produced, which has been awesome, and a different feel, because obviously it's not a live crowd aspect, but that's been really cool. A different challenge because it's more playing to the cameras, which will help everybody in the long term anyway. Yeah. And I'm going to be working with them, very regularly. And man, I'm going to just be, like I said before, not waiting for opportunities, but seeing what doors I can kick down and where I can get to. Because man, like I said, it's a even though I know there's reasons as to why, there were many years I really did not take full advantage of life, especially when it comes to this aspect of it. I sat when I could have spoken. I chose to not try to find avenues to get places, and was hoping that the bus would just pull around. And it's just me. I'm just going to be more active, more attentive, and not let my own insecurities somehow take me down from the fact that, hey, I belong, and I know that I belong. And it's just time to do it. It's time to stop speaking. It's time to go. And that's where I am for the rest of 2021. Things open up, I'm going to be there.
And I'm honestly, man, I'm excited for it, because, I could see the passion on your face and the way you're speaking, and the hunger just, to be better. And everything is, I'm telling you, man, all the people listening and watching right now, after they watch this, they're going to go look you up. They're going to go find you, because they're just, you got the it thing that people are looking for. I told you, there's things that people look for, as fans, and also the people in behind the scenes, the management, where they're looking for people to create the moments and create those things that you remember. And, you did that before as Jack Gallo, but now in a new direction as yourself, going into full gear, giving it 120%. Yeah. I think big things are going to happen. I'm excited for it.
Those words mean a lot to me, man. I feel like sky's the limit. And, man, that just it's just real. It's real nice to hear that, and to be here after the past couple of years, man. It's I count my blessings now, and I feel blessed, and I mean that truly. And I thank you for this too.
Awesome. I appreciate you for being here.
Yeah.
Now, for all the fans who want to know, really who Joe Ocasio is there any last words that you have for them? Something to hold on to until they get to see you back in the ring.
So I have a promo that I just recorded. I haven't known where to put it yet, and I figured I would wait until this day to put it out there. It's on my YouTube channel, and it's called 3 minutes and 48 seconds of my truth. The reason that it's put out there like that is I know that 3 minutes and 48 seconds is a long time to be watching anything in 2021. But if you want to know exactly my story from my heart in one take, just speaking with absolutely no direction of where I was going to go, just honesty in front of a camera to whoever may be watching, that is as vulnerable and open and honest as I've ever spoken. So if anybody out there is interested in that, 3 minutes and 48 seconds of my truth, I'll have the link for you. You guys can check that out. Yeah, and you'll get a real feel for it.
I remember when we were texting and I watched it, and it caught me off guard because I wasn't ready for what it was like, for how well it was going to resonate with me. And I sat there and I watched the whole thing, and I'm like, damn, like I see myself in that promo. And I saw, the emotion from you and everything in that promo. I thought, like, how the hell, how has nobody signed this guy yet? It's crazy. And when Sal first told me too, he's like, this is somebody I think you should interview. And I said, I didn't really know you. So I looked you up and was like, you know what, I remember this guy. And then seeing that promo, man, everything just like clicked. And, for people watching and listening right now, go watch. I'm going to post the link in the description. Go watch this promo. It's not like a promo this is not even a promo. This is more of like a shoot. This is a real life, Joe talking to the camera, talking to everybody. Really, honestly, it's like you talking to yourself, those demons and those things that you've always, fought against, telling them to shut the fuck up and look the other way, Yeah. So I think everybody needs to go watch that. And listen, man, I'm excited for everything that you have planned going forward.
Yeah. Thank you, Joey. Honestly, man, like I said, it's been really rewarding to be back involved in the pro wrestling industry and being on this show, man. What you've done with this podcast, dude, you should be clapping for yourself. And I'm like I said, man, like your perspective, and I want everyone, and this is for you, like I have such, like you said before, you're like, I'm not in the wrestling business, I'm just a fan. But from my point of view, your perspective, watching characters, knowing what you're getting yourself into and watching from that perspective is so unbelievably important because it's such an unbiased viewpoint. You're a viewer who respects what the art of what you watch. And this is what I feel from the performer who's trying to make me feel something. Yeah. So to hear your feedback about my work and to say things like, oh, this guy should be signed, man, I just want you to know, like, it resonates very well with me. And the fact that what I've said resonated so well with you, man, it's that's really awesome, man. And I like it. Again, what you've done, you've done an awesome thing. This is such a great platform. It's such an awesome show. You're so smart. Your questions are always just, they get you right to where you need to be. And you're just, yeah, dude, thank you. And you're a great interview, man. And this is, like I said, man, I'm very, very honored and humble to be chosen to be on this show with you, man. And to have those words spoken with you. It's been really awesome and very rewarding.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the kind words. And, it's very rare that you meet people in the wrestling business that are, that are genuine and that, they're, just to be there in the moment and be there and just talk. So I really do appreciate your time and your kind of words. For the fans watching and listening right now, where can they find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they go watch the promo? Where can they go if they want to get more of Joe Ocasio?
So here's where you can go. I have my Instagram channel or my handle. I don't know. I am the worst with like technology and stuff like that. My Instagram handle, I am most active on Instagram. It's Joe_Ocasio. You can find me on there. You can find almost all of my other social media handles through my Instagram. I haven't changed it. My still have Jack Gallo as my YouTube handle, which by the time I'm going to change to Joe_Ocasio, which will be on my Instagram handle. I have a Twitter, Joe_Ocasio, same thing. I'm not great at Twitter, man. If someone can help me out there, send me messages on there because I don't get it and I never have. I probably never will. And then you can find me on Facebook at Joe Ocasio as well. All those handles I use. I am not. What is the name of it? Wow, I just feel like such an idiot. I'm not a TikTok guy.
Got it.
I'm not my game.
I just got on TikTok, so I get it.
And no OnlyFans here, man. None of that.
Awesome, man. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your words, and it's been a pleasure to sit and talk with you.
Yeah, man, Joey, same here, man. Thank you again. It's been awesome. To anyone that's watching this, thank you for taking your time to listen to me, and I hope you watch that. I hope you watch that promo.
Awesome, man. I want to thank you. Like I said, thank you again, and I'm excited to see what you do, man. I'm excited to see you get back in the ring.
Joey, I think we'll be talking again very soon, my friend, and I look very forward to it, and hopefully seeing you in person.
Absolutely, man. Stay safe, and I'll see you down the road.
All right, Joey, I'll see you down the road. Thank you very much, man. Take care.
Now, before you go, please check out Joe Ocasio's promo titled 3 minutes and 48 seconds of my truth. The link is in the description below, and this is the promo we referenced throughout this entire interview, and it's the promo that has led him to where he is today. Please check it out, please like it, and please look out for more of Joe Ocasio.